All right. So before I open the floor and tell people or have you share like how you want people to engage with you and follow up with you, knowing that we have a lot of people who are maybe trying to overcome barriers to start sharing or people that are already sharing that want to level up, do you have any last words for our listeners here today?
Good question. Biggest takeaway, golden nugget, if you're looking for a nugget for a takeaway, is just get started. And like I said earlier, jump in the deep end because I can only speak from experience. And I can say that from my experience, that's the way to do it, unless you're born into unless you're born into the Kardashian family where you don't need to jump in the deep end because you were born with a camera in your face and you're going to be famous no matter what. You know what I mean? Most of us that's not the case, right? So you have to work to gain your clout. You have to work to build that influence and build your audience and your fan base. And how you do that, and I'm kind of echoing what I said earlier in the meetup from before, is start just start making content and put it out there for free. And if you're only doing it for financial reasons, don't do it. You should do it because you love it. You should do it because you enjoy it. And then if it's lucrative, that's just a perk that you get to do it full time. You know what I mean? If you want to be an influencer, it should be something that you're willing to do evenings and weekends in your free time because you love it and it's your hobby, right? All you got to do is just throw a camera in front of you, or you got to just write about your process. If you like wood turning, just record yourself wood turning, right? You know what I mean? And then, so that would be my biggest piece of advice, is just get started. Everybody has that fear of entry, that barrier to entry, like you're talking about, where they think they have to have a $5,000, Sony camera or a Canon camera. They think they have to have the chops with Final Cut Pro, and that's just not true. You can use a webcam that's built into your Mac, and you can use free tools like Anchor for your podcast, and you can use YouTube for video. And there's so many free resources out there. And technology has decreased that barrier to entry. Back in the 50s, you had to be somebody. Perfect example is music. Back in the day, and I think this is actually the pinned tweet on my Twitter, but back in the day, you only knew like a dozen famous singers, right? Like you knew Frank Sinatra, and the only reason you knew Frank Sinatra is because he knew a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy who he was born into the right family or whatever. He had that top 1% voice on the planet, and he was able to ink a deal with company so and so and get distribution, and that's why there was like Frank Sinatra is the guy, right? And then, but now you've got Spotify, and it's like democratized and like opened the floodgates to anybody can make music, versus before you had to be Frank Sinatra to make music because you need a professional studio, you need the distribution, you need a record label to distribute your music. Now anybody with an internet connection and a smart home device can access your music without a record label, without an inked deal, without a recording studio. You can buy a $100 mic on Amazon, or even just use the one that's built into your computer. And the barrier to entry has been lowered by technology. And I think that should be something that is encouraging for people who are thinking about getting started or who might be sitting on that fence and trying to decide.